Shadows asleep amidst the trees. Bats all are swaying in the breeze. But when the soul lies anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and rakes. For your dolly Polly sleep has flown, don't dare let her tremble alone. For the witcher, heartless cold, paid in coin of gold. He comes, he'll go, leave naught behind but heartache and woe. Deep, deep woe. It's all silent for the night. House turned in as daylight dies. But when soul light lunches wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and rakes, my dear darling.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Haunted Connections show. So we're bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester, and we're sponsored by Sims Vintage Antiques in Wootton Warren, North Stratford. So a big welcome to everyone. I hope you're all enjoying the sunshine. So tonight me and Neil are going to be talking about electricity and can spirit affect it? Can electricals make a difference on your investigation? So as usual, put all your comments, all your thoughts, all your experiences down in the comments below. If you've got any questions, put those in as well, and we'll do our best to answer them, won't we, Neil?
We certainly will, won't we? It's very dark in my house, isn't it?
Does it need another 50p in the meter?
I think it does. And my shaver needs 50p in. So we'll start with your thoughts then, Jane, shall we? What are your thoughts on spirits affecting electrical items?
Oh, where do we start?
Yeah.
It is a massive sort of field, isn't it? And we know from experience, our own experiences up at the centre, we've had electrical stuff happen. You know, we've had the lights flashing, we've had things dimming, we've had batteries drained, we've had all sorts of things like that. But you know, is it all connected? You know, we the environment that we're in, you know, we're surrounded by electricity and sort of all sorts of things that are connected through this field of energy that's around us. So is it such a weird thing that, you know, the energy around us can manipulate energy? I don't think it is.
So the most common thing is teams go into haunted locations and the batteries drain, and that's quite common, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you actually believe that is spirit draining the batteries to build their energy up?
Yes, I think they can do that. And I'm just referring to one of our own experiences at Wigston House, and just one thing I saw myself, and it was like a little pulsing orb that, well, it wasn't, it's quite big. It was like a pulsing orb that came down through the ceiling, and it sort of went around the room for a bit, and then it came back up, and it sort of hovered around the light, and it did seem to get a little bit brighter, and then it sort of went up back up through the floor. So I think I'm sure you've got that on footage somewhere. You know, when you see it for yourself, it does answer a lot. You know, you think you've got answers to questions, but it opens up dozens more, and you just really want to try and find the truth, don't you?
That's right. So let's just talk about what's happened to the centre just recently. The light in the sounds room started to flicker, and bear in mind we had no problems with electrics in that room since we got there. It started to flicker, and then it wouldn't work at all. But then, when Amy and Ant went to open up Sunday, I think it was Sunday, the light was actually on. So do you think that could have been spirit affecting it?
I think it could be, because we've done things like the torch experiments. You know, when we've sort of turned the torch so our spirit can manipulate switching it on and off, and we did that in Hathaway's tea rooms. And you know, I think I've got a video of that somewhere where that happened. So if they can turn torches on and off, why can't they turn lights on and off? You know, it's not a case of physically pressing the switch, is it? It's a case of sort of manipulating the energy somehow.
Yeah,
but
weird.
You know, we've been in places where we've said, you know, in response to us, you know, can you dim the lights, can you flicker the lights, and lights have flickered and they've dimmed, and you know, we've had the responses we've asked for.
Yep. Let's put Lizzie's comment up. Liz says, I've experienced battery drain in a few places. I know all my batteries are freshly charged or changed, and I can't think of any logical explanation. Yeah, we've had that quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
Batteries draining.
Yeah.
So
and quite a lot of teams experience it as well, don't they?
Yeah. So do you think it's spirit needing that energy, or do you think they just do it because they can do it, and it's got some sort of energy lashing onto energy?
Yeah, you see, I'm still not sure about energy, you know, sort of taking our energy, or I still feel like I need to learn more about that, and I want to sort of experience more about that. You know, if spirit can drain energy from the electrics and everything else, you know, how come your bill or the meter's not, you know, whizzing round loads more? Or is it just that they use just a small insignificant amount? You know, we haven't really got enough information to sort of say either way. We only go on our intuition and our gut feeling that it is actually spirit that's doing it.
Yeah, let's put Kathy's comment up. Kathy says, I've only once experienced the light turning on by itself, and I said, can someone turn the light? And the light went on.
Yeah.
Cool. But as far as I know, in the sounds room, the light switch was off, so it shouldn't have been lit up.
Yeah, and we have asked spirit in the past, haven't we, to sort of manipulate electrical things. I mean, look at downstairs. Before you got downstairs, they were having all sorts of problems, weren't they? And they believed it was our spirits. You know, they're all every piece of their electrical equipment blew or broke, and they had to replace it all. Even things like the kettle and the Hoover and everything like that. And she was a bit disgruntled about that, because she did believe it was our spirits doing it.
Yeah, she weren't very happy with us, was she?
No, it was costing her a bit of money to replace everything.
I remember a couple of times when haunted happenings were at the centre, in the old tea room, you know, which is now the war room.
Yeah.
That's where, because the kettle was in that room, and at least twice, both of us saw the kettle turn itself on.
Yeah.
In front of our very eyes. And as far as I know, kettles can't turn themselves on.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if it's just that physical sort of act, you know, if they can move cat balls, if they can throw dolls off chairs, you know, throw mouse man off shelves and all that sort of thing. If they can do that, then I'm quite sure that they could just press the switch on the kettle.
Yeah. I think I need to put the 50p in the meter. I need the light on, because I should be in darkness.
Go towards stay away from the light, Caroline. That's better.
Oh,
We can see
you can
them.
see me now. Okay then. Pamela says, if you believe in spirit boxes and the spirit can manipulate the energy, why can't they manipulate other forms of energy, lights, batteries, etc.?
Yeah.
Yep. And Pamela says, if only they can make the tea. Yeah, that's... If they could switch the kettle on, why couldn't they put the tea bag in the cup?
Yeah. And 2 sugars, some milk.
2 sugars and milk. Okay, Kathy says, have you ever used a temperature gun in an investigation? I asked them to take the numbers up for yes and down for no. That works very well. Have you ever used one of them?
Yeah, we have as a team, haven't we? I mean, we don't use one up there now, really, because I think we're so familiar with the place, aren't we? But when we used to go to other venues, with guests and things like that, we did always used to use the temperature guns, and we did used to use them during the investigation.
Yeah, we do have one. To be honest, I don't know where it is, but we do have one. It's in a box somewhere, probably in the storeroom upstairs now. So we'll never find that again. So keep your comments coming. So do you think they could affect any type of electricity?
Well, I don't see why not, because electricity is just going to be the same sort of energy, isn't it? I don't think there'd be any sort of electrical current that they couldn't sort of use.
Yeah.
When we think of spirit as being energy and electricity as being energy,
Yeah.
it's
They go together, don't they?
Yeah. I would think that it's not too difficult for them to manipulate it however they want.
Yep. Okay. Pamela says some Rempods have temperature gauges on. We have had spirit move it up and down. Yeah, I've seen them. Ours doesn't, but I know some do. So now Pam mentions the Rempod. What do you think to the Rempods?
I think the Rempods are good. We've always had really good results with them, haven't we? When we went to Skegness to the Church Farm Museum, we had the Rempod in the doorway. I picked up that girl in the sort of scullery kitchen part, and she was using the Rempod to ask questions for us, and she was, they were really intelligent sort of answers. So, yeah, we've used it lots of times where it's done good.
Yeah, I do like the Rempod. I like it when I don't like a Rempod when it's going off constantly. I like it when it's not going off for a couple of hours and then you ask the spirit to go towards it and it goes off. Then we asked it to go away and it stops. That's more convincing to me.
Yeah, I do like. I could say I do like the equipment where people don't touch it. And the good thing about the Rempod as well, you can put it sort of out of sight, can't you? And you can hear it. Say like at the top of the stairs. We've done that lots of times, haven't we? Put it at the top of the stairs, and you don't have to see it, but it is good to hear it.
Okay, that's put. Kathy says, I used to get text messages from deceased relatives. See, I find that interesting. I've heard a few people say that sort of thing. Either had the phone call from a dead relative's number, or Kathy just says she's had text messages from them. I find that really interesting.
Yeah.
I know we've spoken about this before. We said we'd have to do some more work on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Steve says, the examples given, like switching things on, are actually examples of poltergeist activity. They're physically switching a kettle or light on, not actually manipulating electricity as such. Yeah, that's so we've met a poltergeist then, Jane.
Cool. We must have a few up at the centre then.
Yeah, the thing is with the light in the sounds room, though, Steve, is the switch was still off. So, as far as I know, the light should not have come on. Bloss says, "Why have you electrocuted the handrail?" That's just ready for you to come up, Bloss. Oh, our Bloss. So, yeah, have you ever come across any more examples of that?
Examples of?
Spirit affecting the electricity.
Yeah, well, we've had it quite a lot at the centre, haven't we? With the Alistair Crowley. He always seems to be around when the electrics are being manipulated up at the centre. We've said for a long time that when the electrics are being manipulated, it's him fiddling around with stuff.
Yeah, it does tend to, doesn't it? Jacqueline says, "I was sent a message the other day. I was walking with a person, his phone was on lock screen and the internet was off." That's interesting. And I think we've had something like that at the centre one night. A team was up there, and one of the team members had a message, or were phoned by someone, another team member's phone, but their phone was in the tea rooms. I could see the phone on the table, but that phone rang somebody else's phone. So, what do you make of that one, Jane?
Well, again, I just think it's really interesting. I do want to try when we get back up there and investigate ourselves. I know quite a few teams have done the experiment where they rang somebody's phone in the tea room and left the phone, the other phone connected in the seance room on its own, and voices and noises have come through the phone. So I think that's really quite fascinating, because nobody's in that room, and the phone's just open and waiting for noises, and they've had voices and noises come through at the other end. So that's good.
They've done that quite a few times. Bloss says we'll be up soon. Not too soon, I hope, because we're not open till Saturday, Bloss. Mark says, "Oh, are we talking about spirit energy? We're talking about spirits affecting energy and affecting lights and batteries and all sorts of energy." And then he says, "It's a little bit too much information. Sos, I'm in the bath at the mo. I've got some good news. I've got some good ones for you." Yeah, okay. And Pam says that's too much info. I think I agree with her, Pam. I think you need to get out of the bath first, Mark. The spooky sister says, "We had this in a certain house. We were stood at one end of the kitchen, just Sis and I in the house, and I said, 'Shall we have a brew?' Next minute, the kettle clicked on at the other end of the kitchen."
Yeah.
I just think we need to train them a bit more. No, we'll have the urn on at the centre. We'll say, you don't need to turn it on. Just pour the water into the cup.
Yeah.
And Bloss says, "Have to annoy you." No comment. Mark says, "Please bear with me." I hope that doesn't mean naked bear.
Put your rubber ducky down and.
So, is there anything that you think do spirits have any limitations to what they can affect? Do you think?
You see, I think it's a much bigger picture than that. It is a much bigger picture, and there's just so much more to it than just the electric. And the electric, in the environment that we're in, and everything around us. We are all connected, all to the same stuff. We're connected with the environment, we're connected with our thoughts, and all that is sort of electrical impulses. You know, even in our own bodies, our hearts give off our own electromagnetic field. And I just think it's just a much bigger picture than that. And I think it's easier than what we sort of tried to say, really, because, you know, with the spirit coming along and manipulating phones and switching kettles on and things, I don't think it's that complicated.
Yeah.
It sounds more complicated than it is. But if you're in the system as such, and you can just manipulate things quite easily because you're already connected, then I you know, it's quite an easy thing to do. But we seem to sort of we still seem to think that everything is isolated, that we're isolated, that we're separated. You know, we believe that we're separated. This is what we've always been taught. We're separated, our souls separate from our bodies, and, you know, our bodies are separate from each other, and we're separate from our environment and everything else. And it's just not the case. We are connected in so many ways.
Yeah. Do you think we are like you said, I think, do you think we are overcomplicating the whole paranormal now?
I think so. I really do. Because from my point of view, working with spirit, it is just such a simpler, it is such a simpler thing, really, than what a lot of people try to make out. And I think a lot of people complicate it. It's like, you know, they complicate it, and it's like some of the recent discussions that we've had about people want to define things between ghosts and spirits and ghouls and all the different things, when I feel they're just all the same thing. And, you know, people want to put everything in boxes like residual energy and everything, and I don't believe that really exists. You know, it's just all the energy of spirit. And I believe that spirit is all around us in these empty spaces, and all we have to do is just sort of connect with them and work with them. And it's not as difficult as you know, a lot of people try to make out.
Perhaps that's why we're doing so well, Jane, because I like to think everything in the simple terms. I don't like complicated life.
We don't overcomplicate things, do we? You know, we try and keep it simple.
Yeah. Okay, some more comments. Caroline says, "Good evening, Jane Neil. Sorry I'm late. You must try harder next week, Caroline." Just joking. Liz says, "I kind of think of it like Neo affecting the Matrix." I've never seen the Matrix, so I can't comment.
Yeah, I do. I can understand that.
Okay. Pete says, "Evening, folks. Long time. Me and a lady friend were planning visiting on Saturday. Alas, it was getting late after we had our little picnic in the park. Maybe next weekend." Yeah, it'd be good to see you, Pete.
Yeah.
Pamela says, "I feel spirits are like rechargeable batteries. They can only retain a certain amount of energy and expel the same." Okay, what do you say to that one, Jane?
I wouldn't. I don't see it the same as that. Because your energy is your energy, and you can't destroy it and you can't create it. And you know, if your soul is that amount of energy, that's what your spirit will be. You know, that same amount of energy.
Yeah.
I don't feel myself that they can deplete that energy and then get more energy from somewhere else, because they are that energy.
Yeah.
If they deplete their own energy, where does their own energy go to?
Yeah.
Because you can't destroy the energy. It's got to go somewhere. And then how do you replace that energy of your own spirit?
Yeah. I'm with you there, Jane. It's again, it's going away from, we have done this a few times now. We've gone away from what the paranormal seems to say is right, haven't we? We did this with the residual energy. We've done it with demons. and we're sort of doing it now because a lot of people say, well, you must be drained now. You've lifted that table, so you must have used all your energy. So we
I just
basically
believe they've had
say,
enough. Yeah.
yeah, they're probably fed up. To me, if I was a spirit and someone says, move the table, and you move it and says, yeah, can you move it again? I'd say, get lost, mate. I've done it now. If you don't believe it's me, don't bother. Right. Kathy says, the spirits in my house do all sorts of stuff when they want to get my attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And Bloss says, would have been up sooner, but had to have a new boiler. We having to have a new boiler as well, Bloss. So that's why I need you to come up and spend some more money. Steve said that makes so much sense, Jane. I don't understand why something negative tends to be a demon when there are good and bad humans. Yeah. Go on, Jane.
Again, I think we're getting. I think it's people try to complicate it much more than what it is, and my understanding from my experience is the fact that there are several different sort of categories, if you like. We've got the human spirits, which is what we work with. We've encountered the black balls of energy, which are just energy. They don't have a soul. They don't have any sort of intelligence. And then we've also got this realm where I believe, which is where all the other stuff is. It's like our spiritual creatures. It's like all these creatures that we deem as demons. I think that's where that's where they all are, and they're in this realm, and they're ancient. They've been around such a long time, because all the information tells us that you can't create new demons. All the demons that are here have been around for a long, long time, and I believe that they're all in the same place. The same as the fairies, the unicorns, the dragons, the creatures that we encounter, and the demons. That I believe that they're all in the same realm, and it's when we pull them through and work with them that that they're there. And encountering a demon is very rare, I think.
Yeah.
If you think of all the demons, there's supposed to be thousands of demons. There's millions of people on this earth. If there's that many demons and there's that many people, people should be getting possessed every 10 minutes. People will be getting affected every flipping day. And that doesn't happen. It's just very few and far between where all this stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Pam says, therefore, they can't drain batteries. So where does that energy go? Do you think that the spirits just do it as a bit of fun, maybe?
I think so. I think they can be very mischievous.
Mark says, oh my God, I almost slipped trying to get out of the bath in a hurry.
Things like draining the batteries. I think the energy from a battery is different from the energy of a spirit, even though it's still all energy as such. And I sort of feel it's a bit like, if you've got some wet washing and you hang it on the line, that water in that washing will evaporate, and it's still there. It's still there, but it is, it is in a different sort of form as such, but it's still there in that environment. And I feel that when they drain batteries, it is a bit like that. You've still got the body of the battery, haven't you? And it's only sort of that little bit in the middle, that power that comes out of the battery. And I just feel it is a bit like, hanging up a wet shirt, because the water will come out of the shirt will be dry, the water will come out with the shirt and evaporate and be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you'll still have, you've still got that there.
Okay, good point. Steve says they would deplete their energy by moving things. That requires energy. Energy can't be destroyed, but it can change into other forms of energy. That's a bit like what you've just said, isn't it, Jane?
Yeah, but I personally don't believe that your spirit energy will do that, because otherwise your energy, your spirit will just disappear.
Yeah. Okay. Wendy says they just get fed up with our repetitive questions. I firmly believe that, because I know I would. Especially if when people say, what does annoy me sometimes is when people say tap on the table and you hear a clear tap and you say, thanks, that's good, can you do it again? I would say, no, you've asked me to do it, I've done it. If you don't believe it's me, I'm going off. What do you think?
Ask me to do something else.
What do you think,
Yeah.
though?
Well, yeah, if it's people, if it's human souls and stuff we're talking to, then yeah, I would imagine they would get fed up and bored. I've just done it. What again? Oh God. But saying that, sometimes we don't always, I don't think we always hear it, or we don't respond as well as we could do, because we've had the SLS camera up at the centre and we've asked Spirit to tap on the glass dome, and on the SLS camera, because there was a little figure next to the glass dome, and we asked the figure to tap on the glass, and clearly on the SLS you see the arm go up and you see the hand moving against the glass, and yet we couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, that was on a live feed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, another comment from Steve. Steve says, if their energy isn't drained, a spirit must then be able to create another form of energy in order to move something. So where would that energy be coming from if not their core being? I'll leave that one for you, Jane.
Yeah, I do believe that they can, manipulate the energies. The energy of the item, because everything vibrates, doesn't it? Everything's particles, everything vibrates, and I do believe that they can, because the energy of the spirit as well is also vibrating and they're working at a frequency. I do believe that that's all part of how they make things move.
Okay. Wendy says they cheer themselves up by playing about. I think they do. I think quite a lot of them do find it quite funny with investigators. They're asking the same old questions night after night. So I think they are going to do something different. Palace says that's what I was thinking, but didn't put it as well as you. I think that's Steve's comment. So key comments coming in that makes this show go quicker. We don't have any more comments at the minute. So you believe they're capable of actually doing anything, really?
Say that again.
You believe that the spirits are capable of doing almost anything if they put their mind to it?
Yeah, I think it depends what sort of power they've got, how old they are, what sort of an ancient spirit they are. If they're not, whether they're human or non-human, whether they're a creature, it just depends what sort of energy they are. We've even had astral travelers, haven't we, up at the centre? We've got our little EP. It's not always as black and white as it just being demons or just being human ghosts.
Yeah. So I do agree with Jane. I think it's wrong where we as investigators put everything into a box and we label everything. Personally, I think we need to get out of that way of thinking.
Yeah, and I think we do need to be more open-minded, because we do seem to be very much, I do find this in the paranormal field, that people have to have some sort of label or box on everything, and if it doesn't fit in that box, it's got to fit in another box, or it's got to fit in there, or it can't be that because it must be that. And and it's the same with some of the witches and things that I see. On some of the things that I see, they say, well, you've got to be either like an earth witch or a eclectic witch, or you've got to be a why can't you just be whatever you want to be? Why do you have to fit in a box?
Yeah, definitely agree with you. Kathy says, and how much of a sense of humour they have.
Yeah, I think they have a great sense of humour.
Okay, James says, story of our world right now. Yeah, everything has to fit in a box, doesn't it? And you said very well said. We've got to get away from these boxes. Going slightly off tangent a little bit, like we always do, do you think the paranormal has progressed anything since it all started hundreds of years ago, probably?
I don't think we've got very far, because I think we're too close-minded. And like I say, people just try to fit everything in a box. They're not open-minded enough to sort of, if there's something there, and they don't like the feel of it, they automatically label it as demonic. Or if they, if there's some sort of old lady there, they automatically label it as a witch. Or, I feel that we should be a lot more patient. We're always too quick to try and force the answers from spirit, and then when we can't get the answers, they seem to just make it up to fit in sort of whatever box they want to fit it into. And we've seen it so many times. Whereas if people are a little bit more patient and they wait for the answers, and spirit don't work quickly. If you want really good answers and quality information, then it does take that. It does take time.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a long comment from Mark, so I think you're going to lose both of us when I put this comment up. Yes, we've got. Mark says, okay, so I do a lot of Ouija board sessions at my friend's house that is haunted by 3 spirits. So much to tell about that, but that's not tonight's story. So Bob is our friendly, cheeky spirit that is latched onto my friend from years ago. He always comes through now and tells me more and more each time. Last weekend, we were talking with him, and I had a twist magnite torch, K2 meter, and 3 flashing balls around the room. He told us the more we talk, giggle, etc., the more energy we give them. They have, I can't see the rest of the comment. So what do you make of that one?
I think that's more about vibrations and frequencies more than sort of actual energy. And there's a great they have actually sort of proved this, haven't they, about people's emotions and feelings, where things like shame and neglect and rejection and things are the lowest form of human feelings. Whereas right up there, you've got other forms of feelings, and the more you raise the vibration, the more you raise that, then the better that is. And that's the same with sort of, communicating with spirit. The more you raise your vibration and the better frequency you can work on, then the more response that you will get from spirit.
Mark says, click on see more and finish it, please. I can't see more, Mark. Sorry, it's not coming up on my screen. Is it on yours, Jane?
Just try and find it.
It's just not coming up on mine. No?
I must have missed it.
There's only 3 comments lower than that one. Bear with us.
can see that bit. Click on see more and finish it. I can't see the main
Oh yeah.
program.
Can you not just copy it, that last bit, and send it again, Mark, please? Because we can't get anything else. Okay, let's put other comments. Kathy says, my daughter is autistic, empath, pagan witch. She's definitely made her own box. She certainly has. Then Wendy says, look at your demon program. They are opening our eyes.
Yes. They're opening our eyes as well. Because
Yeah,
each one we do, we always learn so much.
Because we used to go along. Well, we didn't go along with the demon business anyway, did we really? But we went along like everyone else does, what all the books say. But it was actually Jane who came up with the idea of the Demon Files, because you wanted to challenge the myths and legends of demons.
Yeah, I was sick of reading the same old stuff over and over again, and I was, you know, and looking through Facebook, and I know Facebook's a nightmare, but you see somebody's comment about perhaps a demon, and everybody sort of saying, oh no, stay away, don't dabble with that, don't do this, don't do that. And, you know, then perhaps one person will say, well, why not? And they'll say, oh, no, you can't do that. Stay away, get a priest in, do this, sage the house, get the holy water out and everything like that. And you just think, hang on a minute. Come on, people. And I was just thinking, you know what?
Who made these rules up in the first place?
Yeah, that's what I keep asking. Who says you can't? It's like a Ouija board. They say you've got to open and close a Ouija board. Says who? Who said that in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
It's same with a lot of things, and I think this is another thing in the paranormal, that so many people go along with what they've been told without challenging it, without questioning it, without really finding the where the source came from in the first place. And we've not sort of really been like that. And well, I think we probably were a little bit in the beginning, but since since we've had the centre, we have done more and more of our own stuff and just challenged what people have told you.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about having the centre in it. We can do that.
Yeah, we can.
We can have Ouija boards, and we can leave them open for 3 years. And and as to be honest, has anything evil come through any of our Ouija boards?
Well,
No.
More than likely, but when they have come through, have they possessed people? Have people been running around doing ridiculous things? No.
So we are challenging it, and the Demon Files is, I think it's a fantastic thing that we're doing, to be honest. We're challenging the whole demonic legend. And we've done 4 so far, and they've really been pussycats, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, when you've got somebody who's like the master of mathematics, sciences and stuff like that, why is that so bad? I mean, I can understand perhaps in the medieval age times, if women were doing mathematics, I can see that could be, construed as witchcraft and demonic behaviour. But, it's not like some of the stuff you're led to believe.
Okay, let's get some more comments. Wendy says, very misunderstood spirits. I think so, yeah. Then Sarah says, I don't get the opening and closing the Ouija board thing either. Yeah, we don't do it. And if people don't want to use our boards, don't use it.
But we've said this before, haven't we? When people use spirit boxes or pendulums or dowsing rods or anything like that, they don't open them up and then close them down afterwards.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody open up a spirit box and then shut it down afterwards. And you're supposed to be having the voices of all sorts of things coming through.
Exactly. Kathy says, I do always say goodbye, but I think that's just because it's polite. We say goodbye to them. but we don't have to, in my eyes, you don't have to move the planchette to goodbye. You know, you're talking to them and we say thanks, goodbye. I agree. Pamela says, I don't understand why people think a spirit board is more evil than a spirit box or EVPs. Exactly. To me, there's no difference.
And again, it's because people have been brainwashed, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's put Mark's comment up. Last weekend we were talking with him. Oh, that's still the same thing, I think. Last weekend we were talking with him and had a twist mag lights. They have their own energy, but some are weak. Bob gets stronger and stronger the more he comes through. He can make the balls flash and turn the torch on. I asked him if it was him and how he does it. He replied, I go near it and it lights up. So everything we believe about that energy is true. And it said downside is, and we can't see that bit. Right, Sarah says, we're in this to communicate with spirits, so why would we think by just closing a board down, we've shut the door on them? Exactly. After all, most Ouija boards are just a bit of cardboard with letters and numbers on. Nothing special.
And if that spirit energy is there, he's not going to be in the board as such. He's going to be manipulating that planchette to move around. He could be stood right next to you, and I mean, you know, closing the board down. Do you think it's going to stop his activity? I don't believe it does.
Okay, Caroline says, when's the next Demon Files, please? Okay, there's definitely got one on the 27th of June, but we might have one before that as well. So just keep watching. Neil says, I think Jane's hit the nail on the head with Ouija boards. She's a clever girl, isn't she? Let's face it.
All I do is just reflect on my own experiences and you know, from what I know, and yeah, I just tend to read a lot, and hopefully it all comes together.
The good thing about having Jane as the medium is Jane does all the reading and all the research, so I don't have to. I'm not a big fan on reading. Sarah says, Jane, just wanted to say it's lovely to see you've got your mojo back.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. I am feeling a little bit better. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm getting there.
She's getting there, and she was up the centre Saturday in the daytime, which was lovely.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
And she's researching hard for the next Demon Files. Who's it going to be, Jane? The next planned one is.
The next planned one is Amy.
It's Amy.
Being as we've got our own little Amy, we thought we'd pair them up.
If we're going to have demonic Amy with our demonic Amy, or our crazy Amy. So I think again,
taking bets.
Taking bets, which one's the craziest. Again, if you want us to try anything on the Demon Files, any experiments, let us know, because we want to keep it. We want to make them different each time, don't we?
Yeah, and also what we try and do is whatever's supposed to they're supposed to be a demon of, or whatever they're supposed to sort of manipulate, or whatever's supposed to trigger them. That's those things as well. We try and get in the room and work with them with that.
Yeah, and they're getting better each week. They're getting better, aren't they? They're getting stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark says, last weekend I forgot to take my Ouija board, so I had to quickly make one. Bit of wood from my old bedside cabinet, a permanent marker, planchette made from old mobile phone box, packaging. Exactly. So why would that be something evil? It can't be, can it?
No.
He made it himself. And he sent me some pictures. I'll have a look in a minute. Neil says double trouble. Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for.
Caroline says never heard of a demon called Amy.
I think his other name's Advas or Adnas.
It is a male demon. It is supposed to be a male, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's face it, he's going to be a bit peed off having a girl's name, isn't it?
Yeah, Avnas is his other name. Amy or Avnas. He's got two names.
Yep. Okay. This is an interesting comment from Sarah. Sarah says, was this research you're doing into demons something that Alistair Crowley was doing?
It's we didn't realise this, but it is a bit similar till after we started. And probably Sarah remembers, quite a few months ago, Neil and Amy, maybe last year, they were doing a Ouija board session and they got Alistair Crowley through, didn't he? And he said something about doing some of his work and stuff like that. Well, it was only when we started this, but when Alistair Crowley was up in Scotland, is it called the Abramelin project or something he was doing? And that was a case of calling up the 72 demons in the what's it, Solomon, one at a time, I think. And then it's supposed to battle with the angels. And then once the angels have battled all the demons into submission, it would then give him some secret magical powers. And unfortunately, he never finished the experiment. He never went back and finished it. So, he did partly do something like that. But it's a fascinating thing. But we do intend to do all 72 of the demons. So we're on our way. But it's probably going to take up to 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Like I said, that me and Amy got that through on the Ouija board. And then you come up with this idea.
Yeah. That was later last year, wasn't it?
I didn't know he was doing this. So it's interesting. It's as if he's guided us, isn't it? Maybe. Yeah,
but I think we're probably doing more of an updated version, whereas he was doing, because it was all part of the sort of the Golden Dawn and stuff like that he was part of, and it was sort of part of the project that they were working. But this was a spell that he'd sort of got from ancient books, not a spell, but it was like a project. He was doing this from sort of ancient texts and things that he'd got, and once he'd finished it, it was supposed to give him secret magical powers. His magic, his MAGICK that he called it.
So when we finish, then who's going to have the magic powers? You or me?
I'll let you have them.
Okay. Sarah said.
Well, you'll think you'll have them, but Julie will have them, really.
yeah, that's right. Sarah says, yes, I do remember that Ouija session when you made contact with him. I think he knew you were going to continue his work. I think so. I think that's why he's got this link with us at the centre. He made the link at True Crime Museum, didn't he?
Yeah, you see, I think it's all a continual story. I think it's all a continual thing. We went to the True Crimes Museum, and you then got affected by Alistair Crowley down there, didn't you? And then when you came up to the centre, there was quite a strong presence with him, because you do have sort of a link with him. And then you got his death mask, and then there was other information that came up, and then all the lights and the electricals and stuff were going off.
Yeah.
That was all downstairs, and then when he got downstairs, we moved down there, and then things like he's had a constant presence, hasn't he? Because the Haunted Live came in, and they got some great evidence with Alistair Crowley on their spirit box.
Yeah.
And it's been an ongoing journey. And then you've had your Ouija board sessions, and then we've sort of got to where we are now.
Yeah. Sarah says, I think it was more of a ritual for him, maybe. Yeah, quite possibly. But we, like Jane says, we intend to summon all of them one at a time. And obviously, we stress this every Demon Files we do. The way Jane summons them, the incantation will always be secret. So we are not going to release that to anybody. I can't remember it anyway, so only Jane knows it. And none of the cameras are rolling then. There's no audio equipment going when Jane's doing it. So that will never, ever get out into the public domain, which is important, I think.
Yeah.
So, like we said, it's gone quick again. If I might 5 minutes left. Like I said, the next planned Demon Files is the 27th of June. However, looking the way things are going, we might throw another one in before that. But Jane and I will decide on that in the next few days. Lee says, maybe we got stuff from Crowley. Have to see when we get to edit. Lee and his team were up at the centre last week.
Yeah.
So they do lots of filming and audio work. So hopefully you got something from Alistair.
Yeah.
So
That'd be good.
Quickly mention about Alistair Crowley. Do you think he was misunderstood?
I think so. And I think once you get so far, because he spent a lot of time working with this, and the more time that you work with it, and the more patient you are, and the more you sort of go down the rabbit hole, the more and more spirit will show you. And this is the same thing that I believe is sort of happening with us. The more we work at it, the more we do up at the centre, the more and more spirit let us see in all sorts of different things. And I do believe I think he was misunderstood. The paranormal wasn't as popular as it is now, and it would have been deemed as black magic and all sorts of stuff like that, wouldn't it? And even some of the stuff that we come out with, we could be deemed absolute crackpots. And it's just people's perceptions and interpretations of things. We know even through the Demon Files that a couple of people are not particularly pleased with what we're doing. But how are we supposed to learn if we never push things forward? We can't just keep going by because somebody tells you not to do it, you don't do it. If you want to learn and find the answers, you've got to do something, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Right, okay. Sarah says, do you still have the live cameras on at the centre? I have had so much problems with those cameras. It's unreal, to be honest. So they're not on at the minute because sometimes they all work, sometimes only a couple of them work. I've even bought a new system and that's not working properly. I don't know why. Perhaps they don't want us to film things when we're not there. I don't know. Perhaps they're having parties when we're not there. I don't know. Eventually, when we've got the money to do so, I will have the CCTV professionally fitted, I think, and upgrade it. But so many problems with the cameras. So I don't know. I can't say it's the spirits doing it because I just don't know. But
yeah, and on top of that, you've had lockdown as well, haven't you, and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's everything in the last 18 months has all sort of ground to a halt, hasn't it? But we've just got to get it back up and running again now, and that'll just take a bit of time.
Yeah, I've noticed just lately that since the lockdown that our table, our Ouija board table in the doll's room.
Yeah.
People have been doing table tipping with that, and it has been going crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I've never known the table to be like that. So, do you think they've just learned how to do it, or they think they're finding it funny?
I think when everybody's spirits are so high, and I think when people are together, I think you're going to get people like Nigel coming in. And if people are on the table and having good time and everything else, he could quite easily come in and be dancing around on that table. And he'll be having a whale of a time, and so will everybody else. And the table will be going crazy.
Yeah.
And, with that sort of fun party sort of, atmosphere, he's going to love every minute of it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so that's the hour gone. Wow, that's gone so quick again. The last thing I'm going to say is the HAPRC app is live on iOS. So if you've got an Apple device, you can download our app. I think it's well worth downloading. Google Play should be going live this week, but they're messing about. I'm a bit annoyed with them, but they've had the money, but they've not got it. They've not had it live yet, so that will be coming this week for Android. But the app is going to be the best way to keep up to date with what we're doing, because I'm really fed up with Facebook.
Yeah, I am at the minute.
Limits things so much, and I want us to have control of what people see, and with the app we can control what you see, because you'll be notified as soon as we put something new on it. You'll get a notification, so it's the way forward.
No. Through Facebook, all my notifications just minimal at the minute, absolutely minimal. And I'm just not getting any notifications for any of the live feeds or anything that people are doing, and it's just ticking me off a bit, really.
Yeah, and I'm even getting some from 3 years ago. Suddenly pop up on my wall.
Yes, I got one for a live feed, and it was May 2020 last year.
What's that all about? So I'm really fed up with Facebook, and eventually I see us coming off Facebook. Not yet though, because people like us on Facebook. So if you've got an Apple device, please download the app. It's well worth the money. And I will get the newsletter out in the coming week, because I'm a bit late because I was so busy doing the app. So the newsletter will come out very soon. And that's about it, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's been a fun hour.
So we're going to say good night. And if you got any suggestions of to what you want us to talk about next week, just message me, or me and Jane will come up with something we can chat about. We always go off on a tangent anyway, but but that's the fun. Okay, so we'll see you all next week. Take care and stay safe. If you're investigating, enjoy it.
Have a good one.